welcome to another episode of Wine Back Wednesday. And it has been an absolute cracking day down here in McLaren Vale. It's probably the warmest spring day we've had so far this season. And what are we, the 19th of October? So it's taken the best part of 6 odd weeks to give us some consistent nice warm weather, but unfortunately it looks like a bit more rain coming later in the week. But it is what it is, but it is a little bit windy. There's a bit of easterly picked up, and so I'm inside today. So I've been outside all day doing some barrel work, but that breeze has picked up, and so I've come inside just to be a bit quieter. And today we're going to taste a Pet Nat, or Pétillant Naturel. It is also called Method Ancestral. So it's a very traditional way of making sparkling from centuries ago. But obviously there is a big movement in the wine industry at the moment, just trying to push the envelope, and there's actually using some of those traditional methods, playing around with a few things, and for example, Pet Nats. At Smidge we made a few over the years. Also, we've sort of gone down sort of that minimalistic path to a certain extent with some of our wines, especially the Italian varietals like Fiano and Montepulciano. I mean, they have wonderful natural acidity already, so they don't get any acid adjustment, the natural ferments, and then there's minimal sulfites added to them prior to bottling. The Fiano sees a little bit of skin contact, so we ferment 10% of it like a red wine. The skins are plunged twice a day. Obviously the carbon dioxide produced during fermentation, the skins rise up and form a cap on the top like red during a red fermentation, and we just plunge those skins through the fermenting juice just to give a bit of extraction, a bit of texture to the wine. It sits on those skins for about 30 days and then it's pressed off and then combined with the other components of the Fiano we make. But it's some people call them natural wines, which I can see where they're coming from, but it sort of implies that anyone else who makes other wines not using these techniques are unnatural wines. So I think there's a few other little ideologies and names and stuff coming about, but I think as a whole we know exactly where they're coming from. So I'm sort of in the middle. I make some Pet Nats and do mineral intervention where I can, but all of my wines do have mineral sulfites added prior to bottling, and just to help the ageability of the wines as well. So without further ado, we've got this lovely wine here. A supplier of mine, her husband and her have gone out, I think last year, 2021, and started making this product called Mr. Murphy, Mr. Murphy Wine Co. And we have a Pétillant Naturel, or a Pet Nat. It's called Yummy Juice, made from Sauvignon Blanc, from the Adelaide Hills. Doesn't say what part of the Adelaide Hills it's from, but look at it. There's a little bit cloudy, and as you can see on the bottom here, there is the yeast has settled down. And the idea behind these, you actually get them fermenting in a tank, and when they get down to about 7 or 8 grams of residual sugar, you bottle them up quickly and put a crown seal on the bottle, and you let them finish fermentation there. If you have less sugar in there, the fizz factor is a bit insipid, a bit flat. But if you have too much, the other opposite happens. Sometimes you have your bottles exploding and they foam up too much, and so it's a lot of fine line. And when I've made mine over the years, I found that around that 7-8 gram, maybe up to 9 grams per litre of residual sugar, that's when I like to bottle them up. So to put that in perspective, it's about 1 Beaumais, or roughly 1% of potential alcohol, is about 18-ish grams per litre of sugar. So you're around that, sort of half a Beaumais or 0.5% of potential alcohol, or just under. That's roughly where you aim to get, and then you let it finish off in bottle. And obviously carbon dioxide is a byproduct, and so you have that caught inside the bottle under that crown seal. It saturates the wine, and you have a lovely foam and fizz and bead, etc. All those lovely words associated with sparkling wines. So without further ado, let's knock the top off this baby. And crown seal is really easy. That's a good sign. This has been in the fridge. Whoa, oh bugger. Oh well, I'll just get the tea towel out. It's alright, it's fun. I'll just get that, get it off a bit faster. Go. There we go, and I will just pour some into, there we go. Oh well, is what it is. Wow, cool. That's right. It's got a lovely, there's lovely that citrus herbaceous note of the Sauvignon Blanc, but also at the same time there's that nice gingery, yeasty note from obviously the yeast that's being still in there. Really quite interesting and inviting. I mean, over the years, some of the wines, so I have to admit, some of the ones in this sort of category have been interesting to say the least. Sometimes they're not overly varietal, which is fine, but if they're no faults or anything, it doesn't really matter if they're not varietal. This is really interesting to drink. But some of them unfortunately have gone over that line a little bit and are a little bit faulty, and just to lose a bit of, I suppose, that enjoyment out of drinking it. But this is, far from that, this is really fresh and lively, and there's that yeastiness in the background. And that lovely, citrusy, herbaceous edge, which you often get with Sauvignon Blanc there. Lovely fine bubbles. It's a nice bead. It's actually fizzing away there, nice and dry. So it has fermented all the way through, and really refreshing. And well, they say yummy juice, and well, that's exactly what it is. Really interesting, really yummy, really fresh, really lively. And apart from that, now it's settled down all right. And I was actually going to have both glasses here because I was going to just compare the two, because obviously being a sparkling, this is a traditional sparkling glass. This is I use Plum Glass. There's an Australian glass company, but also often I'll drink sparkling wines out of a white wine glass. It's just a little bit more volume in that glass. You can smell a little bit more, a little bit surface area in there. So you don't put too much in it, or else it goes flat quicker. But it's interesting. This is more, you lose in that. Using that glass, you lose a little bit of that citrus, herbaceous note through it, and there's lots of yeast, really fresh yeast and brioche lift, but that one you're getting more fruit-driven aromas there. So really stark contrast, and the palate tighter, more tart, more focused. This one, you get that yeastiness and roundness of the wine, but still lovely acidity though. It's all related to the volume of air and also headspace above the wine, but also the aperture of the glass as that wine is thrown and hits you on the tongue, and how it, the perception of taste and flavour comes through. Really interesting. If you have a chance, try it at home, whatever wine you've opened, try different glassware, have a bit of fun with your friends, and that's probably another story or another podcast for another day. But awesome. I'm glad that I got some to get to try that. Always fun. Mr. Murphy, Yummy Juice, Alley Hill Sauvignon Blanc Petillon Naturel. Alright, thanks for listening. Cheers.